Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to simply take apart and put back together a regular Toy Story Signature Collection Buzz Lightyear. So in my past videos I've not even really covered how to put them back together and some of the problems you might have. And so in this video I'm going to be showing you a lot more simply how to take him apart and how to put him back together and some of the issues you might have. So I'm going to be answering more questions than I have before. So first of all, you'll need probably a really long screwdriver that's Phillips head. And I recommend doing it on a flat surface that's easy to see and not muddled with other junk and whatever. So you'll need to remove these 4 screws. And so I've already taken this Buzz apart multiple times and replaced things. So I do not have a motor unit in him currently. Mostly because of the motor units have problems with getting stuck. And yeah, so basically I've just removed it because they take up a lot of space and they often don't work correctly and they get broken easily. So now all of the screws should be removed. They don't come out. Maybe I didn't loosen them all the way. It's always hard to tell if you've removed them all the way or not. And so it's really important that you make sure you know which screws go where. The screws on the chest piece, which are the ones I'm removing currently, are longer than most of the other screws. But they do vary from year to year. So for instance, the original release of the Toy Story Signature Collection Buzz might have had a different length screw than the one released in 2010. This one that I'm taking apart currently is one that was released this year in 2019. So now that you've removed those 4 screws, I recommend just trying to poke them out if they didn't come out earlier and putting them off to the side so you don't lose them. So now he is completely disassembled. Like I said, normally there is a motor unit that's sitting right in here that takes up most of the space. If you don't want the motor unit so that you can pose him better, I recommend removing it. The motor unit's attached with these 3 screws. Anyhow, so all of the wires in this Buzz are connected via these clips that connect onto the motherboard. I'm gonna zoom in quick. So you can see all of them are connected with these clips. If you're going to be trying to renovate a anti-gravity belt version, what you'll need to do is remove all of these. And what's nice is the computer board is abbreviated, kind of. So some of them they'll actually mark my camera's not focusing very well. You can see this one here is actually labeled motor. So they'll actually try and abbreviate things. Here's microphone. And then sometimes they'll mark like left or right or whatever. So the parts on the Buzz are, here's the microphone, here's the speaker. These are the 3 buttons on the front. So some of them are easier to tell than others because they have more wires, so they'll need a bigger clip. Anyhow, so to put them back together, like I said, it's a lot harder with a motor unit in place because you'll have to put the wires around it. So if you're removing globe pieces or whatever, this might come dislodged. So this is the globe unit. This is what it should look like. So you can see most of them break right in this area. This one is not broken. I've replaced the globe on one of these before, and I'll post a link to that in the description. Anyhow, so if you don't know which way is which is an often occurrence, this is the way the globe should go. So how you know is these points on the globe, you can see the notches are in different positions. So this notch here, which is more to one side than the other, should be facing forward, and it should be on Buzz's communicator side. So it should go like this, with that point facing forward. This one is more centered, but it is facing slightly more to the back than the front. That one goes on Buzz's laser side. And then these, if you don't know which one is which, they're actually marked left and right. I'm not sure if this camera is able to pick it up very well, but there is an L and an R on these button pieces. You can see right there, it's R. Again, if the camera is willing to pick it up. Anyhow, so R is his laser arm and L is his communicator arm. So this one I believe is L, right here, and this one is R. So you can see this one, which is the right side, his laser side, has another dot here. So that goes like that, and that goes like that. And so what I normally do is I try and grab the globe with these buttons and then put it back into place. So that can be a little tricky sometimes. Or sometimes I'll just do one side and then the other. And so it's important to make sure that all the wires are out of the way. For instance, these wires, which are the actual sensors, to know if the globe is open or shut, can often get in the way. So this part can be tricky, especially if they don't want to go in. There. So that's sort of how I do it. And it's easier when you're putting them back together to have the globe like this in the open position, because it sort of sits in the groove back here, so it doesn't actually want to fall out. And then the arms, you need to make sure that the wing wires, which are these thicker black wires, let me zoom in again. So these wires here, which connect the wings, are thicker black wires, and then they're connected onto a smaller clip wire. You need to make sure those are out of the way so that you can actually put the arm back into place nicely like this. And then oftentimes like this wire here is a bit longer than the others. Some of them I have removed so that I could remove the motor. Some of them are actually clipped into place with these little plastic clips here. You can see they're sort of melted. That's from the factory melting them closed. And then also what's really important, if your wing is not closing or opening after you put them back together, is you need to make sure that these 2 points here, this and this, are not blocked. This is an often problem that I have, is that one of these will become blocked, therefore preventing the wing from opening or closing. So you need to make sure those are not blocked by any wires or the motor unit. And then this piece here, which is attached onto the button, pushes on those and opens the wing. So again, you need to make sure that those are not blocked. You can see that's what happens, is you push that in and the wing releases. So you need to make sure also that these upper pieces here with the springs are not blocked either. And then you need to make sure you get the legs in place so they sit in a groove right here. So it can be a little tricky if you're doing this for your first time, because it can be a little overwhelming if you're not familiar with the parts of Buzz and how he goes back together. So this is basically how it goes. One of the other really important things is to make sure that you don't have the screw holes blocked for the chest piece. So you can see right back here, this hole, this one, and this one are the actual screw holes that go to these, which are the 4 screws that hold Buzz together. So when you're putting him back together, again, make sure you don't have any wires blocking those screw holes. This can happen a lot, especially if the motor is in place, because the motor obscures a lot of stuff. So that's how you do it. You need to make sure that there's not any gap in between here and here, you can see. So you need to make sure that those are not open, because if they are, if you're just loosely putting him together like this, you should be able to see if there's a gap that doesn't want to close. So don't force it shut. If it's not closing like it should, this is how it should be closed. This gap here is intentional. But if it's any wider than that, you need to make sure that you're not smushing any wires, because if you do that, then it leads to even more problems and you will have to take them apart again. So once you've actually done that, you can put the 4 screws back in place. And it looks like I'm not even following my own instructions. It seems like I've lost the screw due to me being clumsy. Oh well, I don't want to waste your time. I'll waste my time later. So then you can put them back in. It's wise to screw each one in a little bit before doing all of them tightly. So they are fairly long, and it's important, if your waist is super loose after putting them back together, that you tighten these 2 on the bottom half tighter. If you tighten these more, the waist becomes harder to move. If you want a looser waist, oh look, there's a screw right in front of me. If you want a tighter waist, then tighten them more. And with the regular Toy Story Signature Collection Buzz, he doesn't have any piece to stop his waist from rotating the whole entire way around. The anti-gravity belt one does. So with him, I like to sort of have a bit looser. And yeah, so that's pretty good. And then These ones here is important to have them really tight because it keeps the globe in better. So there you go, it's back together now. So if you have any further questions, just let me know. If you do have a motor unit and the motor unit is not turning well, which is an often problem for me when I did have the motor unit in place, is that the head won't really turn that well to either side, or you'll hear a grinding noise. So that is not actually a broken gear or anything. The problem is the motor unit has a rubber band gear on the bottom, and so if that is blocked, or if it's being pushed together with wires in between the waist right here on the bottom, it can lead to problems with it moving because of it's not able to. So anyhow, if you have any other questions, just let me know. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. Thanks for watching this video, and be sure to check out the other videos on my channel.